Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. It has been a long while, since we had an episode. And let me tell the quick story about why that happened. I was driving, running an errand for someone, and someone made an illegal U-turn out in front of me. My car got totaled. I ended up breaking 3 ribs as a result. So I'm starting to feel better now. I'm on a 2-week hiatus from work, but I'm starting to feel well enough that I can actually, speak for a prolonged period of time about a topic without feeling like, without massive chest pain, which is basically what my problem was, is, breathing heavily and, anything like that can cause chest pain. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a warning if you hear me any labored breathing or anything. That's just because of that. I'm going to apologize in advance for that. So, a lot has happened in the last month. A lot. There's a lot of stuff I want to cover. First off, we have a blog. We have a blog now. If you go to myecbu.com, that is our blog. It is a WordPress site where I'll be posting reviews and things like that. So, as a result of my injury, I've been home, and I've been listening to audiobooks. So I listened to 2 Star Wars audiobooks, and I did reviews of those. I did an editorial about, Game Freak, which I'm going to talk a little bit about today. Game Freak and their new DLC plan for Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. So let's see, what should we talk about today first? There's just so much we haven't done yet. So much I wanted to cover that we didn't get to do. I did do The Rise of Skywalker. I did a brief Beware of Spoilers for The Rise of Skywalker a bit back. Why don't we just do top 10 for 2019? Yeah, let's do top 10 for 2019. Let me draw that up real quick while we discuss this. Because, there's a new Black Widow trailer, but really, what's to talk about with that? There's not too much more. We see a better shot of Taskmaster and everything he can do. Things like that. But yeah, it's just that there's, I don't know. Let's see. Where is it? Top 10 films of the year. All right. So again, working backwards, my top 10 of the year. I'm just have to insert one that I've watched since seeing this. It came out in 2019. So number 10 would be Spider-Man: Far From Home. Number 8 would be number 8. Number 9 would be Booksmart. Let me get loaded up on Letterboxd because it's gonna be easier. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, I have that now. I think you can follow people on Letterboxd. I think that's how that works. I have no idea how Letterboxd works. I'm completely honest. So number 10, Spider-Man: Far From Home. Number 9, Booksmart. Number 8, Shazam. Number 7, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Number 16, Spirit. Number 5, Marriage Story. Number 4, The Lighthouse. Number 3, Fast Color. Number 2, The Farewell. And number 1, Loose. All worth checking out. If you go to the blog, you can see for most of those why I put them where they are. John Wick Chapter 3 is on there because when I wrote the article on January 3rd, I had not yet seen Marriage Story, so that's on there as well. You know what? Let's talk about what big thing happened last night. Let's do that. Last night was parts 4 and 5 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. The final 2 parts. And really, it feels like, 5 and 6, because unlike with Invasion, where the Supergirl episode wasn't quite tied in, it was like a quote-unquote 4-part crossover, but the Supergirl episode wasn't quite tied in. The Black Lightning episode was very heavily tied in to Crisis. So part 4, I think, was the weakest of the episodes. Um, and I say that in a weird way because, like, anytime we have Barry in the Speed Force or an episode where I think that this is what ultimately what drives the episode down, and I think this is just consistent for our episodes of crossovers the entire way through. The Arrow episode of Flash versus Arrow, which was with them with Captain Boomerang, was substantially weaker than Flash versus Arrow. The Arrow episode of Heroes Come Together was weak. The Arrow episode of Invasion was the worst of that one. The Arrow episode of Crisis on Earth X was the weakest. It's just consistent that the Arrow episode is always the weakest episode of the crossover, and it fits in, and that would be here too. Even though Oliver does die at the end of the episode. Now here is the problem with this whole like situation and why it's the weakest episode, and is it tries to do like what they did in the Last Temptation of Barry Allen, what they tried to do in what's it called? What they did in the Runaway Dinosaur, in any episode where Barry goes into the Speed Force, and you really let Grant, have an opportunity to show off his acting ability, and deal with the turmoil of who he is and what it means to be a hero. That's good. It kind of tries to do that a little bit when we have Barry go into the Speed Force. The logistics of which are a little confusing. Now, I don't think that the science has always been kind of skeptical about the Speed Force. It's always kind of like, made up as they go along because obviously the Speed Force isn't real and, all of that. But, like, at least they try to keep some kind of internal logic and consistency, which they kind of throw out the window here because of the fact that the multiverse is destroyed, so the Speed Force is destroyed, but the Speed Force isn't really destroyed. It's a whole bunch of nonsense. But the thing is, it's like the reason why these other iterations worked is it's because it was for a purpose at the end of the day. Like, Enter Flash Time is him, interacting with the cast and him trying to use the rest of the cast to work out a problem. And that's what makes his episodes work. Because at the end of the day, the rest of the cast are set pieces. I hate to say that because it kind of reduces the role of the other actors, but it gives him a chance to really go out there and do more, and really carry the brunt of the show, because he's the one. The issue is with him, and he needs to solve the issue. Now, there is like one or two good moments, like when he meets with Oliver during Elseworlds, and he has the heart-to-heart with Oliver. That's cool. Like, we don't need 3 iterations of him talking to Oliver, though, as a Spectre. And the final fight at the end of it is kind of, what's it called? It's kind of anticlimactic. Then came episode 5, which was the strongest episode of the crossover. By a long shot. Now, I think that the bigger issue is not the defeat of the Anti-Monitor or the foundation of the Justice League or the cameo by Ezra Miller. I think that there are 2 shows that are going to be disproportionately affected by the events of this, and that's going to be Black Lightning and Supergirl. Now, I think I was doing the podcast at the time that what's it called? At the time that it came out initially. What's that show called? When season 2 of The Flash ended and it went into Flashpoint, going into season 3. I think I was doing the podcast. I think at the time I said this would be a great opportunity for them to use, what's it called? Be a great opportunity for them to merge Earth, at the time 38, with Earth 1, and it was a good idea then. Here's the issue, though. There are too many moving parts that got blown apart with Supergirl. Where it's like now the DEO is owned by Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor, everyone remembers everything from Crisis. All the Paragons remember everything from Crisis except for Lex Luthor. According to the trailer, Lex Luthor doesn't remember. He's just the Lex of Earth Prime now, and it's not the same Lex. It's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be weird. For them to have to, this new status quo kind of undoes the entire first half of the season, and really the last few seasons entirely get undone. And then on the other end, because how do you stay in continuity? How do you say that everything that happened in both last season of The Flash, well, that was kind of contained in Central City, as was the year before. Well, I mean, most of The Flash was kind of linked to Central City, but what happened there doesn't quite mesh with what they did with the pseudo Ben Shapiro in Lockwood, and Agent Liberty and Lex in season 4, which is probably the strongest season of that show, and in contention with best of all of best of all of the shows. I think that that's just going to have a lot of justification for the end of it, because now I don't know how because it seems like Lena no longer knows that Kara is Supergirl, which is going to lead to other issues. Lex doesn't know. Lex appears to be good for the time being, but there's a lot of moving parts. Then there is the other issue of Black Lightning, which is also on Earth Prime. Black Lightning's gonna have a lot of adjustment to do too, because I don't think we can it's not the first time there's been a colossal incident in one of the shows that none of the other shows react to, and it's kind of weird, and it's when Haven Rock got nuked on season 4 of Arrow, and no one else kind of responded to it in any way. That was kind of weird and disjointed. It's kind of one of the pitfalls of a connected universe, is that if there's a major event, how does it not get noticed? And it's oh no, I'm sorry, Bloodhaven? I don't know. It was one of the towns on one of the cities on Arrow got nuked. But now that Supergirl would have been active at that time. Would she have for season 4 around the same? I don't know. The math is well, season 1 of The Flash was season 4. Season 2, so yes, so she would have been active at that time, which is going to makes the whole situation kind of weird. Was that town no longer nuked? It's possible. It's certainly possible. Which would change Arrow altogether too, because then all of that. Because I don't think that it'd be interesting if they explored it, because Superman's been active. When Kara landed, Superman was active. So Superman's been on Earth Prime for a long time. It just opens up a lot of can of worms now, this thing. If we go back as long as we don't go back and look too specifically at certain events, it's not going to, present too many issues. But going forward, how can we justify Freeland being this militaristic state that I'm getting from the brief amount of time I've seen with it? Because I'm way behind on Black Lightning, but how do we justify that in a world where there are other metahumans, where it's where the Flash exists, and all of this, it kind of just throw a wrench into what's going on there. But now it's presenting a bunch of issues. Now Arrow's only got 2 episodes left. Post-Crisis, it's got Green Arrow and the Canaries, which is the backdoor pilot for Green Arrow and the Canaries, as the title would suggest. And then it's got the finale, which is, I think, 3 weeks out, maybe. But that's going to be, I don't know how you do a finale. Maybe there's 3 episodes left. I don't know how many episodes there are post Crisis, but maybe there is 3 episodes left. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But either way, it's gonna be interesting to see how they deal with that. It could just be the last episode could be what I predicted was gonna happen here, where it's like Oliver's not dead. He's in like a paradise dimension, a la Earth 2 Superman in the comic. Or it's like him and his Lois and Superboy Prime all go off there, which would make sense at the end of season 7 of Arrow, where the Monitor takes Felicity to wherever Oliver is, and it's not that he died; it's that he's in this alternate universe, in the multiverse. That's cool. And I think that it's hard to get hyped for a Justice Society when we had a Justice Society already on what's it called on Legends. We had a Justice Society on Earth 1. We didn't need to do a separate one on Earth 2 now. Earth 2 could have stayed whatever it was. They could bring in, but that's there. It's like they kind of set the groundwork where they can do all these crossovers again, because like the multiverse is out there. It's just in there open to it, where it's like we don't know what world, what Earth number the DCEU is, which is in continuity because what's it called? Ezra Miller's Flash appeared in the Speed Force and had a cute little scene with Grant's Flash. But we know Earth 19 is I don't remember the exact numbers. I know Swamp Thing, Doom Patrol, and Titans are all different Earths. Stargirl is Earth 2, definitely. Earth 96 is still Brandon Routh, Superman's Earth. And then there is Earth, what was it? A Green Lantern world, which is probably going to be for the Green Lantern TV show on HBO Max. It looked like they drew a lot of inspiration for the design from the Ryan Reynolds movie, but that could just this is also like concept, because that's really the first tease we've gotten. And I haven't seen a lot of people really harp on that. A lot of people have been talking about the implications for the shows and things like that, but we got our first tease of the Green Lantern TV show last night too. But yeah, hands down the best crossover we've gotten. It would have been nice for Invasion to have been for Flashpoint to have been Invasion. They could have done that, but nah, they did. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what crossover you do from here. That's gonna be a next year's gonna be an interesting one. I don't know how you they're not gonna try and top this. It's like when Avengers 5 inevitably comes out, they're not gonna try and top Endgame right out of the gate. It's another crossover event movie, so let's do it. It's like after Crisis on Earth X, they did Elseworlds, which was an attempt to top Crisis on Earth X. It's just we're gonna do this now. Next year is gonna be. I think what's going to end up happening is these big event crossovers are going to go away, and it's going to give way to smaller, more organic, smaller crossovers, like Duet with The Flash and Supergirl, or like the end of Season 1 of The Flash and Season 3 of, what's it called? There was a lot of, that's one of the things that people forget, is that Seasons 2 and 3 of Arrow and Season 1 of The Flash had a lot of like go between the two of them, where it's like Cisco and Joe go to Star City and they help Quentin and they deal with Laurel, and it's like it felt very organic for that instant, and then it got really big and they couldn't really do that anymore as easily. But yeah, let's look forward to what we got next year, which we don't know yet. It's not like last year where they said next year we're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths. Just buckle up for that. We don't know what we're getting next year. We don't know. I can come up with. I probably next week I'll do like a list of villains they could possibly face next week. What crossovers they could possibly do. I think that. I stand by my previous assertion that I think the back half of I don't know how well it would work in retrospect. I don't think that having the evil Oliver would work as well for the back half of season, what's it called? For the back half of season 6 of The Flash. I would like to see them do the Red Death, but I think you'd have to have Oliver take the role. I mean, they could have Kate take the role. Oh, that'd be awesome. If the Red Death was Kate. Alternate universe Kate, but she's tied up with her own show. She can't really be a cast member, a recurring cast member on The Flash and lead her own show. That'd be cool, though. But they could definitely do Dark Knight's Metal and replace and use Kate Kane instead of Batman. But yeah, I think at some point they're definitely going to have to do something with the Lanterns. They've been itching to do something. You can tell they've been itching to do something with the Lanterns for a long time. So I think that could also be coming too. On that note, we will wrap up for today. Actually, it would be cool if they just did like Justice League one shots, kind of, for the next crossover, where it's like there are 8 shows. Oh my god, they did 8 shows, and each one was like its own little self-contained story. Kind of like Elseworlds, but not building towards Crisis, where it's like each one its own little self-contained crossover story. That'd be cool. That'd probably be the best way to handle it in the future. These big events. That way, it's like we have the entire cast here. We're going to do this, and that's going to be the end of it. I look forward to seeing them do these smaller scale crossovers. I really want to see more Flash and Supergirl crossovers. I really like the duet. The relationship between Barry and Kara is probably my favorite on it. Now that Oliver is dead, it's just I don't know how Barry just gets along with everyone. It's great. So yeah, so we'll wrap up there for today. We'll be back talk about Marriage Story in our next episode. If you go to our website, myecbu.com, and scroll down to the bottom, there is a link for Gamefly for everyone who signs up using that link and gets the 1 month free trial. I believe we get a commission on that, so I would sign up for the free trial on there just to support the show. We'll be back with more stuff next week. Or later this week, whenever I get a chance to. We'll be back to our regular Thursday schedule, starting with that. Also, I'll be streaming. More information will be available on Twitter at 30minreview about when I'm streaming and how I'm streaming and how that works. We're going to be starting out with... what game should we start out with first? Red Rescue Team. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. And until then, have a great rest of your week.